Damn, I wish there are 25 hours a day because I am literally running out of time. I didn't have time to do my summer assignment, and yet I need to do 3 reviews today. I just reviewed the new Drake album this morning, and I just reviewed the Mission Impossible movie, the 4th one, and now Nas with Illmatic. Whew. But anyway, I know it's kind of annoying, but I have to tell you, where am I when I'm uploading this video? I'm at Helsinki, Finland. And right now I'm at Hong Kong again. So, Nas is a very famous New York rapper who released Nasir not too long ago, and I gave that like a 6 out of 10. So, he kind of went downhill ever since this album, simply because this album is so great. It is the 1994 debut album of the one and only Nas. And you know, since this is a 90s East Coast rap album, usually there are all of these gritty, nasty descriptions of the city and gang violence and drugs and money. And usually there are a lot of word plays and very smart usage of lyrics. And usually there are all of these grimy and muddy beats. And especially on this album, the beats are very grimy and muddy, and they are also relatively more simple, but yet infectious and instantly memorable. So, this album kind of takes this East Coast signature sound to another level because it's way more well perfected. And the album starts off with the Genesis, oh wow, I have a raspy voice because I talk too much. The album starts off with the Genesis, which is a little nice intro cut, but it's just an intro cut. The first actual rap song on this album is actually New York State of Mind, which is easily the best Nas song ever, even. At least my favorite Nas song. It is an extremely exciting opener to Illmatic. It has this very slick and grimy bass line that is instantly catchy, and we have these bluesy, sour piano line, and the drum beat is very groovy as well. It is an instantly recognizable, legendary beat. And Nas's performance on this track is even more impressive. Nas's flow is excellent. It's flawless. And the lyrics on this track is so amazing. It mainly deals with, gangsters, drugs, money. But except this time, the description of gangster life and gangster lifestyle and drugs and money, the description is way more vivid and way more logical and powerful.
Rappers are monkey flipping with the funky rhythm I be kicking. Musician, inflicting composition of pain. I'm like Scarface sniffing cocaine, holding an M16. See with the pen I'm extreme now.
And there's one line on this track. I never sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. At first, when I heard this line, I thought this is like a quote from like a famous philosopher or something. But Nas wrote that. Nas wrote that line. Damn. And then the next song is Life's a Bitch, which has a very smooth, spacey, jazzy 90s beat. But despite the fact that it's very smooth and kind of sweet, the lyrics are still very morbid, talking about how life's a bitch until you die. Especially that refrain that AZ, which is one of the features on this track, kept repeating. Because life's a bitch until you die. And on this track, Nas kind of talks about, age and his birth and how he has the pleasure to live through all these birthdays, and then later on he kind of talks about he wants to live for tomorrow, and it's kind of meaningful, and it's very good for a rapper to talk about this during the 90s because it is pretty rare during the time. Anyway, the next track is The World Is Yours. The world is yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, whose world is this? Damn, this track is so good. It has this relaxing, nostalgic, jazzy beat, and the pianos are so fluid and catchy and nostalgic, it's crazy, and the hook is golden. The chorus as well is instantly catchy.
I sip the Don Pete, watching Gandhi till I'm charged and writing in my book of rhymes. All the words past the margin, the whole of mic I'm throbbing. Mechanical movement, understandable smooth shit that murderers move with.
And there's also this one line that, marked Nas's career, and that is Nas wants dead presidents to represent him. And, you know, maybe it's a little cliche nowadays, but back then it was a very sick line that not many rappers thought about. And then we have Halftime, which has a very grimy, murky beat that is similar to most of the 90s East Coast beat, except it's way more loud and the drums are way more nasty. And what's really unique about this beat is the very bright but yet chaotic horn snippet during the verses that really adds onto the character of this track.
Before a blunt, I take out my fronts, then I start the front. Matter of fact, I'll be on a manhunt. You couldn't catch me in the streets without a ton of reefer. That's like Malcolm X catching a jungle fever.
And so is the ringing Christmassy bell that's going on throughout the track. That really adds onto the character of the beat. And basically on this track, Nas, you know, shows off his lyrical wordplays, like I'm in Nace when I face the bass. And then we have the track Memory Lane, and it has this 90s jazzy, relaxing beat that kind of reminds me of elevator music, but in a great way, of course, and it feels very idle, and but yet it feels very thug and gangster. And it's a cool down track, although it's not like epic, it's not like great or anything, but still, I just love how the beat and the lyrics kind of contrast, because the lyrics on this track is actually kind of violent, saying how, here's my basis, my razor embraces many faces. And then we have One Love featuring Q-Tip, which has a pretty normal beat, except, again, there's this unique characteristic about this beat, and that is the thumb pianos, which is actually kind of catchy. And I love Q-Tip's delivery. Q-Tip didn't like rap a verse on this track, except he did like he kind of sung the chorus. One love, one love, one love, one love, one love, one love, one love. And this track is kind of like a Nas's letter to a friend who's in jail, which is again a pretty cool idea for its time. And then we have One Time for Your Mind, which is which has a very slow and abstract and old school beat. That isn't that special because nothing really stands out, so as it turns out, it's kind of a forgettable track. Although it's not terrible, it's not awful, but it's just kind of forgettable.
One time for your mind, one time. Yeah, whatever. One time for your mind, one time. Yo, whatever.
And then we have a Represent. Damn, Represent. And this track sounds like an icy morning in New York. And the instrumentals, the synths on this track is extremely catchy, very colorful, and really flavored. And I really like the gang refrain, like a very gangster-styled refrain for this track, you know. Represent, 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 y'all, represent, represent, y'all, represent.
Represent, represent. Straight up shit is real, and any day could be your last in the jungle. Get murdered on the humble, guns will blast, niggas tumble. The corners is the hot spot full of mad criminals who don't care. Guzzling beers, we all stare at the out of towners.
And Nas sounds extremely aggressive and hungry on this track, and that is one of the reasons why this is one of the highlights on this album. And it kind of picked up the pace again after the slow and uneventful One Time for Your Mind. And then the album kind of ends off with It Ain't Hard to Tell, which samples Michael Jackson in a very ethereal and washed out way, which is really well mixed. And we have these, like, Michael Jackson's song is sampled in two ways on this track. One is his vocals, which is very washed out and very ethereal and ghostly as well. And another one is the strings, which is the instrumental for that Michael Jackson track. And it's just really well arranged, really well put together. And plus I just did a review of that new Drake album, and come to think of it, like Nas sampled Michael Jackson like 10 times better than Drake did. And it ain't
hard to tell. I excel, then prevail. The mic is contacted, I attract clientele. My mic check is life or death, breathing a sniper's breath. I exhale the yellow smoke of Buddha through righteous steps.
And then still, despite the Michael Jackson sample, we have the drums, which sets the format, the rap format for this track really well. And although lyrically this track may not be a great ending for the album, it's not that conclusive, but instrumentally it's still a very heartwarming and memorable ending to the album. And overall, Although this album may feel a little bit too simple, and it may not be everyone's cup of tea. By everyone, I mean, like, like, like rap fans from nowadays. But still, this album is a benchmark for the hip hop industry. And Nas's flow is very articulate and logical. It feels like we're having, like, the listener and Nas is having a conversation. And again, back then, this album shows us that rapping is like storytelling. And, it's just not some meaningless, pointless, hideous, hedonistic refrain shouting, So Nas's Illmatic really embodies the essential hip-hop back then. So, I really love this album. Although it's not perfect, there are flaws, but, a legendary album indeed. The worst is One Time for Your Mind, and the best is New York State of Mind. That rhymes. I'm giving Nas's Illmatic a strong 9 out of 10. So close to a 10. So close. So, have you listened to Nas's Illmatic from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like if you like it, and subscribe if you want more. And it's already 8:48 p.m. and I haven't eaten dinner.